Hey, folks. Um, Hope you're doing well. I'm going to show you a little bit today about how to convert units of pressure. It's just like converting any other kind of units from metrics to whatever you're thinking. Basically, it starts off with I have this document that I've shared with you. There's a list here, and it's 1 atmosphere right there, 760 millimeters of mercury, 147 point or 14.7 pounds per square inch, 101,300 pascals, or 101.3 kilopascals, or 29.9 inches of mercury. All of these things right here are saying exactly the same thing. They are equal to one another. 1 atmosphere equals 760 millimeters of mercury, 14, and it also equals 14.7 pounds per square inch. 101,300 pascals equals 29.9 inches of mercury. These are all the same exact thing. So because these are equal, we can start doing conversions between them, and I'll show you a couple here. First of all, if I have 1 atmosphere, it equals 14.7 pounds per square inch. So if I have 5 atmospheres, it's just 14.7 times 5. So I have 73.5 pounds per square inch. If I have 760 millimeters of mercury, that means I have 1 atmosphere. So what happens if I have 900 millimeters of mercury? How many atmospheres do I have? Well, because 760 is equal to 1 atmosphere, I take 900 divided by 760 right here, and I end up with 1.18 atmospheres. Okay. So really what I'm doing is finding that ratio, finding out how many times the atmospheres I have. Because 760 millimeters is equal to 1 atmosphere, I'm really timesing 1.18 times 1, but it equals 1.18, so I don't do that over again. I'll show you what I mean here. If I have 101.3 kilopascals, that equals 29.9 inches of mercury. So if you look back up here, we're not going through atmospheres this time. We're going from kilopascals to inches of mercury. So I come down here and I go, so how am I going to do this if I have 269 kilopascals? How many inches of mercury do I have? So I take the 269 divided by 101.3, because that's the ratio up here, 101.3. That tells me what number of these things I have. So I end up having 269. I forget what it was now. 269. Oh, come on. So I ended up having 269 divided by 101.3. That equaled 2.65 of the 101.3s, or it's the same as saying 2.65 of the 29s. So I times that answer by 29.9 to get 2.65 times that, which is 79.4. You see what I'm saying? So I find out how many times this I have, and then I multiply it by what I'm trying to find. So it's almost sort of like stoichiometry, where I find that ratio and then multiply it by that. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Let me show you um, another example here. So we're going to do one live. Let's say that I have 900. Oops, get back up here. Let's say I have nine. Oh, I got to go down here and change that to there. Okay. I've got 921 millimeters of mercury, and I want to know how many atmospheres that is. Okay. So this is easy, right? Because I go 921 divided by 760, and that will equal 1.2. And then I multiply it by whatever the factor is for atmosphere. Whoops, ATMs, which in this case is 1, which means I equal 1.2 atmospheres. But let's say I had 921 millimeters of mercury. I'm going to change my pen up here. Say I had 921 millimeters of mercury, and I wanted to know how many kilopascals that was. So once again, I would start off with going 921 divided by 760, and I would equal 1.2. And I would times that by how many kilopascals are there in one atmosphere, or how many kilopascals is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury? It's 101.3. Does that make sense? So that means I now have 122.6 kPa. Let's do this again. What if I'm looking for, let's flop back to here, okay? So we did that kilopascals. Let's say instead of kilopascals, I'm trying to find PSI. So it's 14.7 PSI, right? So we'll go right back to here. I'm not going to do all of this over again because I've already done it. So I'm just going to go, all right, my answer there was 1.2 times 14.7, and that equals 17.6 psi. So I would do the same exact thing first. 921 divided by 760 gets me this ratio. Okay, 1.2. I have 1.2 of these right here. And I just multiply the other one by that factor to figure out what it is I'm actually doing. So let's do, I'm going to clear this real quick. Clear the canvas. So I'm going to stick with 921. So let's say I got 900. Let's go down here. I'll go blue this time. So let's say I have 921 millimeters of mercury again. And I want to know how many inches of mercury that would be. So I go, all right, 921, first of all, divided by 760 to get my ratio, and it's going to be 1.2, because 921 is 1.2 times 760 right there. And then I'm going to take that ratio and multiply it by 29.9 so that I can get my times 29.9. And what does that equal? That's going to be about, I think it's 35.8 if I'm not mistaken, inches of mercury. Okay? So we can do that with all of those. So every time you're doing one of these equations, first of all, start off figuring out what is this ratio right here. You got to figure that out, and you get that number, and then you multiply it by that. Okay? So that's all you're doing, back and forth that way. So hopefully I've got, there's just 5 questions of practice on that. This isn't a huge deal. Then I've got another exercise for you later. So good luck. Let me know if you have any questions or anything on it.